The word task may have been a little strong, given that the majority of the sisters generally ran wild and did exactly as they wished outside the schoolroom, and very often inside it too. And the mere thought of letting them loose in the genteel confines of Torquay for more than a single day filled every adult who knew them with horror. So, in the end, Faith and Hope had drawn straws, and unfortunately, Faith had drawn the shortest on 2 out of 3 occasions. In desperation, Faith had tried to enlist the aid of Percy, their father's long-suffering curate. However, the prospect of an entire 3 months without Reverend Shackleford's variety of spiritual guidance was simply too tempting, and after much discussion with the Almighty, and despite his genuine concern over the Reverend's health, Percy had elected to stay behind, for the spiritual good of the villagers, naturally. Unfortunately, the residents of Blackmoor were not predominantly concerned about their spiritual welfare. They were more concerned about the dreadful prospect of having to sit through lengthy fire and brimstone addresses. While the Reverend usually ensured that his sermons lasted no more than an hour, his curates had been known to go on for more than 2, which had left more than one villager having to be carried out of the church when the service was finally over. Consequently, their entreaties, as Reverend Shackleford was leaving, that he get better very soon, were both heartfelt and very loud. Indeed, it appeared that the whole village had turned out to express them.
Chapter 1. Captain Roan Carew was not one of the prominent, wealthy Torquay Carews, or so he'd been told frequently by members of that auspicious family whenever he'd had occasion to do business with one or all of them, which was often, since apparently their dislike of him did not extend to refusing any casks of illicit brandy that Rowan had managed to obtain during his extended sea voyages as captain of the Royal Navy vessel HMS Albatross. Not that Rowan gave a rat's arse whether he was some Carew's byblow. He'd risen to the rank of captain through a combination of determination, shrewdness, and sheer bloody mindedness. His ship had not only survived Trafalgar, she had undoubtedly thrived since, giving her the nickname of the Lucky Albatross by her crew. Lucky indeed, given that with the war against Napoleon still raging, the last 3 Spanish merchant vessels his ship had captured had been carrying gold from the Americas. Of course, if asked, Roan Carew would state that the luck was predominantly down to the fact that HMS Albatross was a 36-gun frigate with a battle-hardened crew and a very astute captain. Whatever the reason, the prize money from the 3 captured ships and their contents had netted Captain Carew a considerable amount of coin, affording him the luxury of a large mansion in the Warburys, actually purchased from old Joseph Carew himself. On this particular day in the spring of 1809, Rowan did not wake up in his own bed. This was not in itself unusual, and under normal circumstances he would have been entirely delighted to have woken up beside the vision of loveliness snoring gently alongside him. However, on this occasion he was entirely nonplussed, having a splitting headache and no memory at all of the events leading to his current whereabouts. Frowning, he lay quietly staring up at the ceiling of what was undoubtedly an inn, and not one he recognized. Judging by the muted light coming in through the grimy window, it was still early. Climbing carefully out of the bed, lest he wake his slumbering companion, he went to look outside in an effort to get his bearings. The window looked over an alley, causing Rowan to mutter a few choice expletives under his breath. He recognized the filthy passageway below and realized that for some ungodly reason he'd chosen to bring a random woman to one of the worst hostelries in Torquay. What in God's name had he been thinking, and why the bloody hell couldn't he remember any of it? Rowan enjoyed a tankard of ale as much as the next man, but drinking enough to lose an entire evening was most definitely not his usual practice. Looking down, he realized he was still wearing his drawers, which was strange if he had indeed indulged in a prigging with the person in the bed. Stealthily he walked around to the other side of the ancient 4-poster and carefully lifted the blanket covering his mystery woman.